Okay. Just waiting. Oh, is my volume turned up? Gotta make sure I can hear everyone. Oh, wait, no. I was about to invite you, Jen, but you're our moderator in the comments, right? Hi. Hello. How are you? Hi, Cece. How are you? Just waiting for everyone else to get here. Oops. Is Paige joining us tonight, or is she taking tonight off too? Yes. And I made you a mod before I started. There we go. Wait. I want her to be a guest. There we go. Did I do it right? Sometimes if we like both do it at the same time, it's like, yay, it worked. Loading.
Hello.
Hello, there she is. It like took forever to load. I was like,
I was trying
is it gonna happen?
to put my headphones on and they weren't like transferring.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh gosh, we're matching. We're both wearing Star Wars stuff.
Star Wars stuff. I'm super tired. It's been a really crazy week.
Oh yeah. No, me too. I survived another week of middle school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not middle school, but yes.
Yeah. Paige, hold on. Paige, you're on. Are you up or no? Yes. Invite all.
Hi, friends.
Hello.
Hi.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thanks,
can you hear me?
Blanca.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
I am sorry. I'm running like my phone's dying, my kid's screaming. Give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
No, don't even worry about it. Okay. We're still getting everybody in.
Nikki should be here in a minute.
No, I just invited her. She's here now.
Okay. I also sent her the live.
Wait.
Hi.
Oh. I'm trying to click all the buttons.
Oh, that's not what I meant to do.
Hello. Our assassin has arrived.
Yes.
I had to get my charger because my phone always seems to die every time I'm in a live.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about lives, but it's definitely a battery eater.
It is, for sure.
Wait, no. I thought I did just add her. Wait, what's going on?
I just plugged mine in because I'm paranoid.
Yeah. Mine always. Especially, and since I was hosting, I was like, I cannot have my battery die today. Ruthie, are you off camera today? Or am I having a technical issue?
I think it's June.
I got a battery pack for my phone, though. Like, it's my phone a case, a battery pack, because my phone dies so often. I had to get a battery pack because my husband was like, charge your phone.
It says invited, so I don't know if it's a delay. Because I just tried to send it again, and it's grayed out that I can't invite you anymore. Maybe, what if I unclick it? Nope, I can't unclick it either. Maybe like swipe off and then swipe back on. Yeah. Well, happy Friday, everybody. I hope we're all doing well.
Friday.
Oh my gosh, I just realized. Oh no, I have this water. I was gonna get my sparkly water cup. I may run grab it real quick so I can stay hydrated.
Go run, grab it.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna get it. It's sparkly and it gives me serotonin.
That's what this one does. It's got like the. I'm like.
That ASMR.
Oh, I worked at Starbucks when that was the test.
Stop it. It just feels good on my hands.
Usually 6 people can join a live, right?
Yeah, Ruthie's coming on. She's just running It
Well,
should
she
be
asked.
6. Do not people not have?
I thought you
I
either
think
had 4
I
or
feel like
6, and if she's already at 5, then she should be able to do 6.
yeah. Ruthie, the multi-guest didn't show up for me until Allie invited me on. I think something that's weird is going on with the app
Maybe
because
there's like an
I
update or
wasn't able
something.
to see the two requests either. Yeah. Oh, hi Bear.
There was an update this week.
Is it Odin?
This one's the bear, the
Bear.
Dresden bear. Yeah, Dresden. Yeah, meow, meow. Wanna say hi?
Ooh,
It's a
very
Taylor
friendly.
hub. Hello. Hey, welcome
Hello.
to Tanner Tannist.
Say hi.
I just need some like gum to chomp on, and I'll be like, go full Talon. Hi, Mandy.
Ruthie,
Oh wait, oh my gosh, and I was gone. Okay. I'm hitting
get
invite.
back in.
There we go.
There she is.
Loading.
Please wait.
Holding for Ruthie.
It's working.
Yes, and like everybody had to like reload for a second.
Hi, can I put you down now?
Hello.
Hello.
Were you sleeping?
No,
No.
life is just hard.
Aww.
Oh, not a good
Well,
Friday
let's
then.
make it a little better. Well,
We'll be all
welcome
right.
everybody. We've got like people in the comments, so not quite everyone, like the full group, but
Son of a bitch.
the first books in audio of the new year.
Woo-woo.
Yeah, it feels like it.
Oh, we get that privilege.
I know Jennifer was all like, "Where's Allie?" And I was like, "It's 8 o'clock, Jen, and we start at 8:30." She's like, "Oh, right,
I had to put the kids to bed and all that stuff.
right."
Give them all the extra snuggles and things.
TJ, can
Hi,
you come get my
Ashley.
phone?
Hello. All right, we've got Jen in the comments. Oh, it freaks me out when it does like everybody refreshes all at once.
You have to go hang out with us.
Okay. Well, let's get started. So today, or not, yeah, this week we have Elle Morrison, author of lots and lots of books, The Blood on My Name, and then also the Seven Deadly Sins series. And then
To come.
is that what's that?
To come. They're coming.
Yeah, to come. And then the other series is the
The
sorry,
Black Banners.
the Black Banner series. Yes, Under the Black Banner series. And then we have Nikki Gray, narrator, with us. So let's just do introductions. So Kay, how about you introduce yourself and tell us about your author journey?
Okay. Well, I'm Elle Morrison. I write paranormal, morally gray romance. I have 2 series at the moment. My most recent publication was the audiobook to Blood on My Name. This is technically a standalone that has a interconnected 7-book series that's coming this year. And I've been publishing for just under 2 years now. I think July will be 2 years.
Oh, wow. That's
Congrats.
awesome. That's awesome to have that many out so quick.
Mm-hmm. So do you find that you're like a pretty fast writer? Like, are you one that like tries?
No,
you say that, but you have so many books out.
Right.
it feels like that. I don't know. It feels like it takes a really, really long time. I wrote Under the Black Banners very quickly. Within 2 months, I had written Under the Black Banners. Dagger of Ash and Gold took me probably roughly 3 months to write. And Blood on My Name probably took me about 3 months to write. These other 7 books are shorter. They're about 25K each, and they're taking me roughly about 3 or 4 weeks to write without any like of my crazy editing. Blood on My Name took a little bit longer in the research process because I did a whole lot of research. I really,
I
really love my
remember.
research. I did a whole lot because I'm actually not religious whatsoever, but this is based on a lot of religious mythology that
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't necessarily acquainted with, and I like to think that I did a fairly good job.
I know that you were
Which
very meticulous in your research process.
I
Mm-hmm.
was, yes, I tried.
which religion's mythology did you use?
It is Christian-based mythology. Yeah.
Very
All right. And then, Nikki, how about you introduce yourself and how you started in narration and how long have you been a narrator?
My first one came out in I think it was May or June. It was under a different name, but I quickly learned that I don't want to be on. I wanted to do more romance ones, so I kind of was like, I'm going to shift that way. But so it's been this year. It's only been about 6 or 7 months. So yeah,
Wow. That's amazing.
I'm a baby, just a baby.
We're all babies
I
inside.
was gonna say we're all babies.
Yes, I
And
always
so
joke that I love that sound that I'm just a baby, and I was like, I always say that I'm just a baby.
that's
But
awesome. So
yeah,
yeah, how did you
thank
get
you.
started and like what was kind of like the driving force to break into it?
TikTok,
Yeah.
no joke. I was on here in 2021 at the beginning of the year, and I had seen, I think it was Natalie Naudis popped up on my For You page, and she was talking about that she does it at home, and I was like, what? I didn't know that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just like just straight rabbit hole, and started following narrators and YouTube and finding every resource I could because my ADHD kicked in and I was like hyperfixation. And but then I put it off and I put it off and I put it off and I just didn't do it, and I didn't have the courage to do it. And beginning of this year, late spring, or last year now, late spring, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it. So did it in my closet, and my husband eventually kicked me out of it. he said, he was like, you stay, I can't sleep well because you're in the closet. And so built me a booth and upgraded everything and kind of just went from there.
That's amazing. And how many
It
books
gets
do you
pretty
have
in
under
there.
your belt now? And like it's just been like 6, 8 months.
Um, One was never released. I don't
One
even
is
remember
this
the book.
one.
Yes. It's
Yes,
never
one is
gonna
that
blood my
one.
name.
One is that one. That is the only one that I've actually been able to narrate live, and I loved doing that with you. So it was great. I think it's like 5.
Oh, the
I think
hype
it's
team has arrived.
yes. I think it's been 2 has been released. One is going through ACX right now. One is in the final stages of like post production, getting approval back and forth with the author, and then I think that's it right now. So I think it's 5.
Amazing though. That's a really great start. And
Mm-hmm.
I love the story of how the two of you met. I know how you guys met, but do you
I
guys
do.
want to talk
I
a
was
little bit
gonna
about like
ask.
how you guys first connected and how you first met each other and started working together?
You go ahead.
Oh.
Go
Well,
ahead.
I'm
Um,
trying Hollywood Squares technique.
yes. The Marty technique is what I'm calling it.
Yeah.
Yes.
How that cracked me up.
But it's weird. Now I can't
So
see you. I know it looks like I can see you, but now I can't.
I know now you can't. Uh, so honestly, it's been kind of a blur. I feel like I do this a lot where I just happen to stumble on people that are just really cool. And Ali Dane, I've been like popping in and out of your live narrations for so long, and I can't necessarily remember exactly like when Nikki and I just kind of like connected, but she was super sweet and did like a little snippet as like a promotional thing, and I immediately fell in love and knew she was Mara. And I was like, okay, how am I going to pull this off? And so then we just kind of started talking back and forth about doing it. And I found a couple other people to do like the male voices for Blood on My Name because I knew I wanted to do a duet with this book. It's dual POV, and I figured if I was already going to hire a male narrator, like a second narrator, that I may as well go just all out and do duet. And so that's how I remember it. and I've just been like stalking Nikki ever since.
Well, because
Yeah,
I thought
it was me doing a snippet for you, and I think that's just what was like, all right,
Yeah.
let's
well,
do
wasn't
this.
it was part of the Femme Audio takeover, wasn't it?
I
Or was
actually
it
think
just
it was
like around that
before.
time?
So
I think it was
Oh my
before
gosh,
that.
in my brain and my memory, like maybe it's because it came out like in that same week. I like was associating it that it happened like as a part of the Femme Audio takeover. So I was like, oh look, like author and narrator connecting during Femme Audio. That literally had nothing to do with it. Never mind.
It was close. It was close.
We'll take full
makes
credit
sense.
anyway.
Capitalizing on the
makes
energy.
okay.
No, it
You
was
can take full
totally
credit.
wrong.
But
Well,
yeah.
that's awesome.
So how did you find then? I know like your male narrator's not here. How did you find the male narrator? Did you go on ACX? Was it somebody you already
Yes.
knew? Okay.
No.
Did you?
I think if I would have waited a little longer, likely we would have found someone here on TikTok to do it. But I had kind of already like looked into ACX and tried to figure out like that platform and how to publish there. So I just kind of like put the book out there to see what was, you know, what the challenge was like, I guess. I don't know how to describe that. But there was one individual that I thought would really work for us, and it ended up falling through, which is fine. That's what happens. And then Bastion Allen actually did not an interview. I'm sorry, an audition, and I was like, this is probably it. And so he was very kind and very receptive, and I think he altogether has something like 12 different voices.
He had a
Nikki
lot.
has
I
Wow.
think
Nikki has
I
4.
think he had like 12 or 13. It was a lot
Yeah.
Wow.
just for him. And I was like, he's having whole dialogue, whole conversations without me. So we're good with
He did.
They're like, don't mind me.
There was just like a whole chapter where he just like talked to himself the entire time.
Yeah. Like that
Really, it
sounds
was like
and
solo
I will be
narration
playing
for a
all the
chapter.
parts.
Yeah.
You did.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And then I got to edit the audiobook myself, which was super cool. I have, some background in audio production through like podcasts and like previous college stuff. And so I got to do that, which was it was a longer process than I thought it was going to be, but luckily I got to do a lot of the live narration, like, I don't know, like not editing,
Directing.
Directing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Proofing.
She
With
was in
Nikki?
with me during almost all of them. I think there was only a few chapters that you missed every once in a while, but
Yeah.
almost all of them you were in there with me, and she would catch if I missed something, or she was like, hey, can you make that one just like a little breathier? And I was like, yeah. But yeah, so I really liked it because I was nervous at first about that, because sometimes that can go really wrong. But and I think in my mind, it being like the first time that was happening, I was like, oh my gosh, oh, I hope she doesn't change her mind.
No,
And
I
feel
was like,
worked out really well.
that was me on the other side. I'm like, oh, I hope I don't scare Nikki away.
Well, but I think that's a really cool collaborative process. And, when you can find a really good pairing and somebody that you just gel really and you work really well with, it can end up making a really cool product. Because I know then there's like some people that like, I don't know that I would super enjoy them like live directing me, because I'd be like, oh my gosh, I hate this so much. Like I can't do anything right. But it seems like you guys really flowed well together.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Enough
I
that
think so, too.
Nikki has signed on for 7 more books. So
I guess I
The
like her.
entire the Seven Deadly Sins series, the upcoming.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's going to be
She
the
likes
7 Deadly
me.
Sins.
She likes me enough.
Enough. That's putting it lightly.
Enough, just a little bit, I guess.
And are those going to be duet as well?
Yes. Sorry. He also has a stage name. I'm so sorry. But Bastion has also agreed to sign on for the 7 books, and so we're gonna, as much as we can. I think Nikki is phenomenal, and I think that she is perfect for um, all of my leading ladies. There are some questions in my mind whether Bastion will be able to have that kind of range because he is from the UK, and he did give us some Americanized accents for a couple characters, and we actually went back and re-recorded because uh,
Not
they
quite
weren't
right.
exactly the feel I was going for. So we'll see how that goes. But he has interest in doing more duets with us.
Awesome. American is hard. American
It's
accent,
hard.
general American is super hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amer-
Well, and he was trying really hard to do like, he's like, well, what region are they on? And I said, well, they're, this guy
Just
has lived in New Mexico
American.
for 50 years. So if you
Mid-Atlantic,
can, right. And
Midwestern or Mid-Atlantic, yeah.
right. And so he was just like, well, I don't know. I was like, it's a Southwestern accent. I don't know how you're going to do that. I lived in New Mexico for like 4 years and I don't even know how to describe that to you. So
Yeah, a lot of times it's like
it was hard.
slang and cadence more than accent too, but
Yeah. So it was hard. We'll figure it out. We'll decide soonish, but he definitely has a spot for the first book because he did a phenomenal job with Citri and Ezekiel in Blood on My Name, and that's their first book. So
awesome.
And
Awesome.
hi to everyone in the comments. I'm sorry, like I missed some of you as you were coming in. So if I'm missing hello to any of you, hello and welcome.
Welcome. Except for PJ, you can ignore PJ.
PJ, get in the booth. Get out of here.
Hi, PJ.
Go record.
No.
Booth.
He's done. He's
Oh, he's
done.
Last
done?
night was
until
his
at least
night.
June.
Oh,
He's
you're in
done.
the booth. What are you saying? You're literally
I was
there
like, no,
right
he
now.
can't be in my booth. No, it's mine. It's mine.
Don't mind me. I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, out. No.
Oh.
What? They said I have to be in the booth. Sorry, I have to be in the booth.
No.
They said I have to be in the booth. I was getting in trouble.
You're gonna
Ali
get
said I had to come into the booth. Oh my gosh.
baby.
It's a well,
No,
I think it's super interesting, Kate, that you took on all of the editing and splicing together of all the audio, because I think this topic kind of comes around like quarterly of like the topic of audiobooks and how to make them and how to be able to pay for them, and just kind of the cost of what it takes to create an audiobook. And so much with indie authors are taking on the cost of like editing and cover design or freelancing with different editors and cover designers and even the marketing. And you're the first author that I've seen that took on the process of editing. And I think that's a really unique way to kind of the DIY indie model. So can you kind of talk about more about that process for you? Because I think it's so interesting.
Yeah, I really loved it. I really did. I like to say that I know a little bit about a lot of stuff. And so I feel like that really helps me in like this career choice path, whatever industry, I guess. Like I said, I went to college for a little bit for journalism, and a big part of that was video and voice editing. There was like a whole class that we had to take that we had to like edit things together that we went out and did ourselves, recorded, videoed, and then we had to edit it ourselves. So I did know a good foundation of that knowledge before starting. And then, of course, I did, A.K. Mulford and I did a podcast for just over a year before our lives became so crazy. And so I also produced that podcast. And so when we started this, I knew that I had the knowledge to at least do that. Where I did lack was mastering. But I was very lucky to find someone who was willing to help me figure out how to master myself. And so I think that's one thing that indies in general want to know is like, how can I learn how to do this myself? And a little bit of it is finding the right people who don't want to gatekeep. And so I got to do the editing process, which I already knew. And then my engineer who was super sweet, along the way would answer questions and like send me websites and material, YouTube creators who could like teach me things. And I saved myself probably around $600 to $700 not using an editor slash proofer. So that was nice. And it saved my narrators time and energy to not have to kind of do that themselves, especially with the dynamic that we had. Nikki had already recorded her parts before Bastion had a chance to start his. So it's not like we had a lot of communication during each of their recordings. So we kind of had to, it was a little bit of mishmatching on my side, being able to like cut and paste just right and maneuver some stuff like that. So
it's the technical side, and then there's a little bit of like artistry to it, of like how
Yes.
long is this pause, and like and that's definitely something that like you start to get a feel for. So Jennifer wants to know, what's your sign? And I want to know, is it your sign or is it ADHD?
What's I'm a Taurus? I don't know. I'm very stubborn. I do know that.
Yeah. I think that's like, well, that's all of us a little bit. Like so many of us were just like, we're gonna figure it out. Like we're gonna teach ourselves no matter like what it takes. Yeah.
And ADHD.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Nikki, so it sounds like you and your narration partner recorded in an asynchronous fashion, so y'all weren't recording like simultaneously. I know some, when they do duets, like it's like a live recording. And so I was just kind of wondering, like, if this was your first duet, because I'm coming up on my first one myself, but I was curious what that experience was like for you, since, so in my case, everything I've done is either I've done 2 dual books and everything else has been single narrators. So like, you just go. So like, what was that like for you? And what were the accommodations you made in like the audio, to, possibly ease things along for your partner or Kay?
Yeah. It was my first duet too. So it was definitely a learning for everybody. But when I did it, I had seen, I think it was Stella Hunter, and she used click. Yeah, she used a clicker. Well, this being my first duet, I was not prepared and I did not have a clicker. So it was, and I can promise you my fingers were getting real sore by the end of it.
I know, because you start snapping and then like your fingers get dry and the snap isn't quite as loud.
So now I do have.
I started clapping when I used to not punch and roll. I would clap. I would just go clap right by the microphone.
I think people do tongue clicks too, but that gets real old though.
Yeah. So when I did it, I just narrated as I went through, because I just finished another duet, and I had the clicker this time, thank goodness. And so I go through, narrate it, click, click, when it's his lines. And I have to make sure as I'm doing it that I'm paying attention to what his line is, so I can make sure to stay with the flow. If he said something that makes me mad, I need to be ready to come off with that emotion. But I think we were prepared enough for that, because I was like, I'm going to do this right, because she's going to be watching me. But so I told him, I said, I don't know if you've ever done a duet, but this is how I've seen it done. Is that okay with you? And he was like, yeah, that's fine. And we said, if you want to listen to, because I finished first, and I was like, if you want to listen to any of my stuff first, we had it in a Dropbox, a shared Dropbox between all of us. I was like, do you want to listen to any of it first so you can play off of me? Go for it. I think he did for a little bit, but I don't think he did it for the whole book.
He did when it was a higher stress chapter. For the most part, he just kind of went with it and did his thing. He had a clicker because we were like, you need a clicker.
Yeah.
We learned that.
We learned it. So we're like, oh God, get a clicker.
Get a clicker.
But no, he did a good job. And there definitely were times where I, during the editing process, had to tell him, because I got his chapters without listening to them as he went. And so when I would get a chapter, there were definitely pickups where I said, hey, this part needs a little more something. It's missing something. Because Nikki would get really, really into it. And I'd be like, Okay, he's too chill. He needs to give us a little more.
Yeah. Yeah, that I guess that would be like the thing I'd be wondering about or concerned about, but I think it does make sense definitely to listen during those like high stakes moments, because you end up with somebody who's like, yeah, we're not really fighting, and then the other person's like, no, we are fighting.
Well, yeah,
I
like
mean, 'cause that
Tanya
can
asked a
immediately
question.
take you out of the book. If somebody's listening to it and they're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And this other person's like, well, I guess. And they're like, oh.
No.
But I'm hungry now. I don't know.
You wanted a throwdown.
Yeah. Well, and then so Tanya's asking, is it easier to do a duet with both people in the booth or at, you know what I'm trying to say? And I think for a lot of it, well, Paige has done the most duets out of all of us, and then I've done 0. And then I think everyone else has kind of done like 1 or coming up on 1.
I just finished my second.
Yeah. And so I imagine that makes a difference. So have you always done it where you're not in the same room, or is it always just the instance?
This
or
has
not
been
room, same time.
Yeah, never been in the same room or recording at the same time. I think I have some coming up that I will be. But so far, no, I have not.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that sometimes that can make or break a book, a duet, depending on the narrators and how they mesh together. And I've been lucky enough that has not been a problem, so that I know of.
From an engineering standpoint, it being in the same booth helps because your room tone, et cetera, is all going to sound the same. So mastering, et cetera, doesn't have to be different. And so to save on costs, before I send our duets off to the engineer, I splice them together. So I do all the timing myself, et cetera, because it's an additional $50 per finished hour if I don't do that. So I go ahead and do that. And it's a lot easier again because the room tone is the same. The microphone is the same. And that sort of thing. We did record at the same time together in the booth for like really heavy or like emotional scenes for Save Your Book 1. We did not do that for Save Your Book 2 because I am too easily frustrated and angered, and especially when it gets hot, and this booth gets real hot and not in the good way. And when he's like, I hate it, I want to do it 10 more times, I'm like, no, like you want to throw down. I'm reading the room. So, but that said, like, I would love to, yes, PJ is slow and angering for Paige. Even when she's not in the booth, he's a little slow and angering, and I love him dearly, but we need to work on that. Or get another booth. But, then the room tone won't be the same, but we've been talking about, like, I don't know if you know about Source Connect, or also, DJ, Christian, and I are talking about getting on Discord sometime at the same time. And like, so we'll have Discord in our ear and can play off each other, but still have our own tracks, because that will help with timing and emotional stuff as well. Discord is free, Source Connect is not, but you know.
Yeah, I think R.A. Nash uses Discord, and I know that she does hers usually live. And so that's what made me ask, since you guys were presenting an obviously different method, because my first duet's going to be Nemi's Obsidian Feathers.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's unaware, that's going to be like 19 hours of audiobook. So I'm like, how are we going to do that?
That's a big book.
I don't know that it has to be for
thick.
everything. Like smaller conversations, I don't think necessarily need that. Because,
right.
But like the big emotional ones, then I would say, definitely like hop on Discord or something.
Yeah, so maybe just mark those like really pivotal ones or something.
Because then
for
also
special consideration.
The recording schedule. And
I
like,
feel like scheduling would be the almost the hardest part of that, is like, how do we all have such crazy schedules.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like if your book is 8 hours, 9 hours, like you're like, okay, like we could pull that off. But like, I'm like, this is a 19-hour book.
Well, and multiply that probably by, they say like 2 to 1 or like 3 to 1. Paige, what do you think is, because I feel like duet might be a longer ratio to like get everything done.
I don't know, because it's going to depend on how well you're reading, how well your other person is reading, whether or not you like a take.
And whether they want to redo it a bunch of times.
Right. I mean, because obviously, if we're doing the clicker method, I can careen through a chapter that's his POV, because I'm just like, I have 5 lines and the chapter is 20 pages. Like, boom, 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 done. Like 20 pages done.
Yeah.
But if it's like the longer, then when you get into like the terms of splicing it together, like that is like carpal tunnel. So
Yeah, because if it's like going to be a 19-hour book, multiply that by 3. That's how many like booth hours.
at least.
Okay, well,
Longer
that's
for
depressing. That's depressing. And I actually just remembered that Jen asked a question for Nikki that we missed. So we're going to avoid depressing me further. And Jen wanted to know about your audiobook prep process, Nikki, moving along.
Yeah. I know that some of you don't do this, but I highlight because my mind is like, I need color so I know what is coming. I know you don't. I've heard that.
Spreadsheet. Color. Wait, do you highlight or do you change your text color?
I highlight because
and you're
it
the
catches
only
my
one who
eye
changes
better.
their text color, Allie.
What's that? Nobody else is
You're
doing
the
my
only
thing?
one who.
I tried changing the text color, but it wasn't enough for my eyes to really like.
Oh, see, I changed the background page color. I'm in like Google Docs and then I darken the background so that it's easier on my eyes, and then I can use like so many different colors, and then I make it like 150% magnification. Anyway, what's your process?
Highlight. And so I highlight for the different people, and then I have like obviously the pronunciation guide, especially like I'm about to start a fantasy book, and I was like, let's go through this together, make sure I'm saying all these names right, because I am not going to get through 30% of this book and be like, I just said that name wrong the whole time.
The worst.
So I make sure that, yeah, I'm terrified of that. So I'm like, okay, give me like the kindergarten dumb version how to say this name, and I will write it like a kindergartner when I'm like, I'm making sure I'm saying this name correctly. Like there is no doubt in my mind I'm saying this right.
What is your
so
worst word? What has been like the hardest word you've had to pronounce?
Probably
Not
from
to put you on the spot.
I have now had
Wait, was it?
Latin in 2 of my books. That one was one of them.
I'm so sorry.
What was the
No,
word?
what was it?
5 times.
Is it vegan? Sorry.
She gave me Latin like 5 times, and I'm like, what? Whoa, okay. And so then, of course, even though I write it down, I'm like, I gotta search it and make sure I say this correctly. And then I just had to do it again in this other book as well. But usually it's just doing another language that I'm terrified I'm gonna mess up. Names I can usually do pretty good on, and there's nothing usually crazy with names, but nothing crazy that I can't get immediately.
The word that was giving you trouble.
What's a word that gives me trouble?
Were you guys just saying that it was Latin? Is that what y'all were saying?
Like Latin, yeah. Just
okay.
Latin.
I wasn't sure if Latin,
okay.
specific Latin word.
I was like, not the word Latin.
No, not the word Latin.
There was a lot of there was Latin,
Okay.
there was Aramaic, there was Hebrew. There were a lot of random things that I like patched together depending on like where the characters kind of originated or where like most of their story had like the most relevance. And so yeah, she had quite a few just real random, here's some Latin, here's some Hebrew, here's some Aramaic, here you go.
She threw them in there, and we were in live, and it would pop up, and I was like, "Hey, what is this? What did you just give me?" And she was like, "I'm sorry."
I'd be typing it like
phonetically,
like a kindergartner, like trying to do it phonetically, which I cannot do very well. I did do a like a pronunciation guide, which I'm actually having. Oh, my other PA is here. Emma is going to be using the pronunciation guide that I gave them and actually turning it into a real pronunciation guide for the book, because I have not added one to it because I knew that it was not right. Probably. But we tried real hard, and we actually went through it together through video chat, so that at least like if it was so bad the way I wrote it, at least I could like say it out loud and be like, this is how I say it. I don't.
Yeah, because
Ezequiel,
right. I wouldn't have pronounced it Ezequiel. I definitely would not have done that. And like off the bat, I would have said Ezekiel, and it was Ezequiel. And so I was like,
that's what I would have said.
And Bastion did
That's
the
what I
same.
would have said too.
Yeah.
I'd have said it too. And like the worst part, I would have been 1,000% certain. So I wouldn't have even asked because I was like, yeah, I know how to say that. It's like, just might as well ask me to say Adam. Like,
Well,
and then you message me back and you're like, it's Adam. Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yes.
I did know that the names were going to be hard. I did know that because there were definitely a couple names that I put into Google, not Google Translate, but Google
Like the
Voice.
pronunciation thing? Yeah.
Yeah, and so there were a couple names that I was like, okay, I think it sounds like this, but I want to double check. And Ezequiel was one of them. So I knew it was going to be hard. I did.
So does that mean everybody says it wrong?
So far, no.
Or is it like...
Well, yes, if we all say Ezekiel. I'm talking about everybody as in the rest of us, Kay, not your narrators.
It's spelled with a Q-U in it, but my mind immediately was like Ezekiel. I said Ezekiel or something like that, and it was wrong. That's what it was. It was Ezekiel, not Ezekiel.
Wait,
That
how
was
do you
a K.
Oh, okay.
That was
Okay, so it does have a Q-U in there, though.
It's a Q-U. So I can say
okay.
Ezekiel, and it's Ezequiel. Now I can't even get it right.
That's fair. Okay, because in my head, I think maybe I'm thinking of a different version of the spelling, or maybe it's just a different name. But I was like, man, never would have got it.
There are so many ways to spell Ezekiel. But Ezequiel is Ezequuiel. Ezequiel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I guess I probably would have asked about that one.
I would have found that, and then like Spanish, which would still be Ezekiel, like ¿qué? Ezekiel.
Yeah.
So what pronunciation is Ezekiel? Is it Aramaic? Is it Hebrew?
A lot of these are Hebrew. A lot of the mythology, the demonology that I researched has a lot of Hebrew roots. So a lot of these names have a lot of Hebrew roots themselves.
Okay. And that actually makes a lot more sense for the spelling, since Hebrew has some pronunciation commonalities with some other languages in the Middle East that we don't necessarily have a direct crossover for. And so then the English spelling can be off when compared to the, source language spelling.
Right.
Our resident language expert.
I find it way easier to read Farsi than it is to read it in Farsi or Arabic than it is to try to read Romanized Farsi or Arabic.
Sorry.
That was adorable, whatever that was.
Dragged in.
I see this movie Romanized version, and I'm like, eh.
I read a lot of languages
back
in Nemi's book.
Yeah. So we're going to have Spanish is one for sure. The book primarily takes place in El Salvador, although some of the the clan of the supernatural creatures, some of them come from Mexico, but they've been living in El Salvador long enough that it kind of all blends together. And then there's a bunch of Nahuatl and Lenca words in the book as well. So we're going to have fun with that. We're going to have fun.
Is Nemi going to give you a recorded, because I know sometimes I'll ask authors to be like, if you're really certain of how to pronounce it, make me a little audio. The cat. Sorry. I'll have them make me a little audio recording.
Okay. That perfect thing is cute, but there are too many people with ADHD in this live stream for you to keep doing that. I just want to throw that out there. I see y'all's faces light up, and I know which ones you are. I know y'all are giving yourselves away. So she has recorded some stuff, and then I was going to use Positron. I'm actually testing the Positron prep feature on this book called Rise of a Dark Throne because it's Afro-Caribbean inspired, and it's epic fantasy, so there's a lot of made up words in it. So I was like, hey, so author, I gave you access as a research person. if you can see this little microphone, it'd be super cool if you could click on it and record how this word is supposed to sound. If you can't see the microphone, let me know, because I don't know what she sees on her end. But if she can see that microphone, I already pulled out all the words where I'm like, that's not English. So she could just go down and say them all, and then I'll have her pronunciation of them in the recording, because she, they're her made up words. So that's what I'm going to try. I'll report back.
Oh, yeah, I like that. I didn't even know that was a feature on there. I've only used Positron
Yes.
like 1 or 2
prep.
times.
The prep features are awesome.
The pause.
I use it every single book now. Like, I'm like, don't even at me unless we're using positron.
You're not causing problems. We're just distractible.
Yeah,
the prep features are really good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that, because I used positron on my last book, but on this one, the other narrator is doing all the post-production. He's like, hey, I'm going through this anyways. If you want, you can still use positron, but I'm going through it word for word anyways. You can save your money, and I'll just send him to you. I was like, that's fine, we'll just do that. So
yeah. I mean, if somebody else is going to do it, that's fine. If it's a choice between me doing it and positron doing it, easy.
Positron, yes, please.
I have meetings with my authors ahead of time where I just write down everything after I prep the book. And I'm like, how do I say this? How do I say this? Or if they want to record it and send it to me, that's great too. But like, I don't know. I was thinking about doing like a welcome packet kind of thing where like, here it is. Here's what you can expect. Write down a list of words you don't think I know how to pronounce, and write down how you think they're pronounced, or something like that.
Do you want I'll send you my welcome packet that I use that has a character guide in it, that has it like a whole like spreadsheet, and it's got a whole thing in it.
Send that to me.
Yeah,
I
got one from
recently,
I want that.
and I
got one from Brilliance too. Like Brilliance has a list of like every character that's like
Positron.
even mentioned.
Oh yeah,
and they'll even says like, deep voice, Southern accent, and I'm like, oh, that's nice.
I have a book coming up that has Cantonese and French phrases in it, and that's gonna be. I'm gonna have to do. I'm not starting that one until like March, but I'm gonna have to do a lot of prep for that.
Let me know if you need. You might not need it, since narrators are pretty flexible too. But let me know if you need me to ping. Put a call out on my Facebook to my former translator friends, because I knew some who had to do Chinese translation. So
fortunately, the author's husband is Cantonese.
Oh, thank God.
To like do audio. Oh yeah, no. I think the main character is like somewhat inspired like on her like husband. So he's gonna.
That's so good.
Cantonese phrases for me.
That's
French,
great.
I'm on my own though. Which fortunately I have another author friend who lives in France, so that I've already been giving me like.
Well, French isn't as bad. I would immediately be like, I'm not even gonna rely on myself for anything like Cantonese. I'm not relying on myself for that. I could do like Spanish languages and like Middle Eastern languages, not even European languages, maybe. And I'm like, not even going to try. Not on my own anyway.
Sorry, someone asked me about positron. Sorry, GH. It's POZOTRON, positron, and it's an AI proofing software, which I know like narration and AI like normally does not go together, but this is a way.
We're not going to say AI for that, because it's actually machine learning.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it is. It's machine learning. It's not trying to make decisions. It's not giving directing feedback like, hey, this character is supposed to be sad and you sound like you're having the best day of your life. It doesn't do anything like that. It just takes the audio and matches it to the document. So we often erroneously use the term AI for things that are in fact not AI and are super cool and sophisticated and awesome. No, it's not like it didn't take work to make that system work, but it's not artificial intelligence. It's machine learning, which of course machine learning can be a foundation for actual artificial intelligence, but that platform's not quite there. And I don't know if they want to go there, because guess who will unsubscribe? Everybody with some common sense.
Yeah.
Somebody said they were trying to do an audition and the narrator submitted the wrong audio from a different book.
Wait, what? Well, I'm sorry. Okay, so they clicked play and it was noise from a different book.
Yep.
Neat.
Not
Wow.
that is
Uh-oh.
that accurate. Am I reading?
When Blood on My Name was in ACX auditions open, I had several I guess not AI, but definitely like it was Siri like speaking.
Yes, people will try to do that. They'll try to
Yeah.
submit that.
Oh
Really?
yeah. I had
I
several. Oh yeah. It
I
was
just
wild.
saw an audition that was like no AI, no artificial voices. I was like, that's an odd thing to include at the end of your listing, but apparently not that odd. That's so weird.
No.
I also hear that sometimes people will get people will get like unsolicited, like spicy sound
Yep.
effects. And they'll just be like, I just wanted you to know that I could also do this. And you're like, bro, that's not even from my
We
book.
know, but it's
Oh gosh.
something. Yeah. They like
Which is
submitted like a whole script that was like not even like related
No,
to the audition.
I've seen people complain about that, like in the Facebook groups. Like even it was one of the publishers. They were like, I had something listed on the site for you to audition, and someone just submitted something that said, I've done work for other people, and here's a sample of my work from them. Like just didn't do the audition and was like, you
You
should know
gotta
from this.
be
I'm like,
ballsy to do
that's
that.
not how
Like
that works.
you gotta be
Surprise,
ballsy to do
surprise,
that.
they didn't get the job.
yeah, it sounds like a way of being like, well, and not I don't want to say lazy, but it just really sounds like, well, I did really good in this book and it already sounds really good because it was like mastered and edited, so I'm just going to submit that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I've seen some ACX profiles where, and this was like kind of back when I was like, what do I even put on my ACX profile? Because again, baby. And I saw one profile that was like accepting offers. Like this person, I guess, either was so busy. I don't know if they were so busy with audiobooks or maybe I think they were also like an actress, but they were like, I'm accepting offers. Like, listen to my samples. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Of course, they were a lot nicer when they said but that was the basic message. And I was like, all right. All right. Wow. And it's like not to say that I haven't been hired without like a specific audition, but it wasn't like off of ACX. It was like from,
Yeah.
TikTok people. But to be the person responding, like the author didn't even invite you. Like you're just showing up
Yeah.
with stuff from a different book. Like the audacity. I
Yeah.
kind of wish I could know what it was like to move through the world with that much audacity, even for like a day. Like what would that feel like?
It would never even occur
No.
to me that was okay. They're like, you're not going to put in the work now for like 3 minutes? Why would I give you a full book?
Well,
and
and a
Yeah.
baby author would probably not even think about it. They'd probably like, oh, okay, they've done a book before, and that's good enough for me.
or
Where
maybe they
someone,
don't have set up yet and like but maybe they did like for a short period of time and they're not able to easily recreate that. And that's something I've seen too. People are like, I don't have the space to do this now, and now I booked this book and I don't know what to do.
that would be terrifying.
So I know I don't know this person's real name, but PA Power 83. So we can work on a few different platforms, but I've also been like paid directly by an author, and then the author uploaded the files and stuff themselves. So we didn't even have like an ACX or any type of contract like through ACX or like Findaway Voices. What's been happening, at least for me lately, is like I'll meet an author here and then we may still go through like ACX to like just kind of set up like the official mechanism. But like they didn't find me on ACX and I didn't find them on ACX. And then I know like Allie, you've gotten some stuff for like Findaway Voices and stuff too, right?
Yeah. I just finished my first Findaway Voices. It was like a managed production. So that was one of the first ones that had like I actually got invited to audition from like the Findaway production team because they'll like if you go through their managed production, they'll like hand select narrators to then like invite to audition. And then I also did 2 productions that were like authors that I'd already contracted with in ACX. And I was like, oh, we want to go wide now. So then I did 2 through there. And the marketplace on Findaway is open now, so you can go there, look through all of the narrator profiles, which are so much easier to navigate. They look so much nice. I love the narrator profiles on Findaway, and then you can invite narrators yourself. You don't have to go through Findaway to like just do whoever they pick. You can invite different narrators to audition for your book.
Well, I can actually also answer a little bit to that, because I technically hired Nikki through ACX, even though we had talked here on TikTok, and I ended up paying Nikki and Bastion privately. But technically Bastion was not on contract, because as of November, you can only hire one narrator through ACX.
Yeah,
And
so
same
if
with
you do
Findaway.
a duet or a duel, you can only, and you have two narrators,
Mm-hmm.
you have to contract it through one of the narrators. And I've done it where then I have a contract with the other narrator. I've done that to say, hey, if it's a royalty share, say, hey, I get this half, you get half, or you just get them. She would pay me outright, pay him outright, depending on her finished hour rate. And
that's true. I didn't think about. I had already known that I was going to pay outright, because I didn't know how we were going to do it, so I didn't want to do. I mean, I already didn't want to do royalty share, because it's my first one. I didn't want it to flop, and then 7 years they still hadn't gotten paid for the work they did, especially since the payout is already so low through ACX. So I did pay them both per finished hour. We did not do royalty share. That would have been insane, I think. I don't know if I would have been able to figure that out at all.
I've seen that some there's one, not mentioning anybody specifically, but I had seen some listings for books on ACX at some unspecified time that offered royalty share plus to one narrator and then offered PFH to another narrator, which appears to be another way to kind of work around that. Amazon takes 60%.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And if I sound salty about that, it's because I am.
I'm very salty about it.
I think we all are for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and if you do royalty share, it's even less. I mean, you get even less. They take even more.
Or if you're
so they take the same, but if you're doing royalty share, you're splitting your 40% in half with your narrator. So ACX still gets their 60. They don't care.
But then if you're not
60%.
Yeah, it is 60%.
And if you're
not exclusive, they take 75%.
Yep,
that's true too. Yep.
And you can't do royalty share as a non-exclusive. So
but if you're non-exclusive and you have a pretty solid audience, then the option to direct sell to your audience could allow you to kind of get ahead in terms of your sales, especially if you are pointing people towards your direct sale. Like, yes, it's available on Audible. If you have a credit, then do you, boo-boo. But like otherwise, like you could pay less for the audiobook and I still get more if you buy it directly from me. So it's a business decision, of course. Obviously, I just am salty.
You can still put it up on Audible. You can sell it yourself. You can put it up on Kobo, on Libro FM, going through Findaway.
Libraries.
Absolutely libraries. So, but yeah, DJ and I are, with the duet that we're doing, I'm on Royalty Share Plus, and the male narrator is just straight PFH. So that's the other way we're doing that. You just, and an email chain counts as a solidified contract that could be taken to court. Like, I have it in writing here that you will pay me this by this date for this work. And I mean, it doesn't have to be anything like super official and long.
Or what? Are you going to fight me?
No, you took boxing. Mine will be a far away fight.
I'm a pushover.
Bare knuckle boxing, you win.
Yeah, I wouldn't go against you then. No.
PFH, that depends on the narrators, really.
Yeah.
They kind of set their own prices. Nikki and Bastion both were 200 PFH for me.
Because we didn't
but that was for the raw audio
and master.
Right?
So.
For the raw
yeah.
Audio,
Yeah, that's a significant distinction.
Yeah, the editing and mastering, it's gonna be more because that's more work.
Yeah.
Or if we hire out for it to pay the engineer who does it. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
and my
I hire mine out.
engineer was what I think it was like 65 PFH.
mhm.
So since I did all the other stuff, and he was very kind to give me a discount. So
He was
I
charging
loved
that
that
just
he
for
was
mastering?
so helpful for you too, because
he was
I
so nice.
I know she was. Kay is very type A. If you haven't figured that out, so she
Let's not.
she would message me. She's like, "Oh, why did I do this?"
Let's not get
I don't
into
want
how
to
many
go.
times I would message Nikki, the world is falling apart and everything is on
Yes.
fire.
And she's like, "Oh, this happened, and I don't know what to do, and I need a backup plan, and this is my backup plan, and I hope I don't have to do it." I was like,
Yeah,
it's okay, it's okay."
unfortunately, I've been taken advantage of. I owned a small shop for a few years there when my kids were super tiny. And I got taken advantage of a lot, and I learned a lot about how flaky some people can be. And so whenever it sounds like someone is about to back out, I'm immediately like, backup plan right now. And and Marcus, uh, Marcus Rain was very, very kind to me. I had a freak out moment because Bastion got sick, and he said that he was having a lot of, like, he didn't have a voice for a little bit, and he was having a really hard time. He was talking about how his production times were slowing down because of it, and he was like kind of rushed or whatever. And I was like, oh God, he's gonna back
This was
out.
after the first narrator changed his mind
Yes,
and said he
Oh
didn't want to do it
no.
anymore. So in her
yes,
head, she's like, "Oh my God, he's gonna bail."
he's gonna bail. And so I was like, Marcus, and Marcus was the sweetest. He was so willing to jump in there. He was ready. And I was like, if he does, please, I just will love you forever if you do this. Let me see what happens by Monday. And Marcus was very willing and ready. So I
That's
was very
awesome.
lucky to find Marcus.
Yeah.
Marcus is good people. He's giving me a
He's
growling
so
lesson tomorrow. No
oh,
joke.
he is.
Please tell me it'll be on live.
No, we're not doing it
That
online.
would
We're
be
doing it on Zoom. But I was
I
like,
have been meaning to book that with him.
which, like, we've been joking about it for so long, but then I sent him a DM the other day and I'm like, hey, you're gonna laugh. But you know how we've been joking about this for so long? I legitimately need your help.
This is funny because now I'm going to DM him and I'm going to say, Allie said that she's getting a growling lesson from you, and I am outrageously jealous. I want one as well. That's what the DM's going to be. And then he's going to be like, what the fuck is happening here?
he's gonna have a growling
There
workshop.
too. It's gonna be a group study.
Growling
Yep.
workshop.
Yeah.
Group
We're just going to be
lesson.
growling at each
I will
other.
say-
We're going to sound like a pack of werewolves.
I can't hold up to Marcus or anything, but when I was doing my positron, it pulled up because it was my Hades and Persephone book, so it was single narration through the whole thing, dual point of view. So I was doing the male part too. It said detected because it's the positron, so it was like detected growling lion, large cat, animal, and I was like, "Oh, it was that good."
I love the notes. I love the positron notes. Some of them are ridiculous. I've
I
gotten
was
like
like, "Oh, was
duck,
it that good? You really thought I was a
farm
duck?"
animal.
The positron thinks that I talk with a mouthful of glass. The number of times it tells me there's been a sound detected, and I'm like, no, positron, I just have a clicky mouth. Thank you. But it's always like glass tinkling, and I'm like, it's not. I would sound like a fairy if it was literally glass tinkling. Like,
That's so
Sound effects
wild.
for that.
Because I've heard you on live before. I would not have ever thought that. It must be like
Oh,
super super sensitive.
microphone.
Yeah.
well,
I'm
since I started narrating, I realized, in fact, exactly how clicky I am. I'm like, how, like, I've been working on my clicks for, like, Kosa, and I'm like, how is that something I have to focus on? But, like, these random click noises are coming from my lips.
Yes.
Oh, I mean,
Ruthie, when you do
if I
live,
did.
you don't hook up your microphone, right? It's just your cell phone.
Oh, now, yeah,
Like
no, it's just my cell phone because the battery is dying fast enough already. If I plug in the microphone, then it's gonna go in like 3x. So yeah, that also helps as y'all aren't all up in my lip space from the good microphone.
Yeah, Lana, I can't remember when the last time was on live. I cut it like
because like you and you're just so like.
That was weird.
Yeah, I don't use my microphone on lives because y'all hear the nastiness. Like, and everyone's like, green apples.
Everyone with their
I'm like, they don't work. I just have a nest.
No, and it's funny. Only every now and then it does my tongue ring hit my teeth. It's really just me clicking randomly, and then y'all know when you're talking, you open your mouth, and then that weird gurgle noise happens in your throat.
Yes.
And you're like, I just opened my mouth just to start talking, so I wasn't even talking yet, and then there's like, and you're like, what is that?
The pre-speak crackle, like when I'm opening my mouth, and then you can hear like my tongue like moving in my mouth.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about maybe you just drank some water, perhaps, or whatever. There's like an air bubble, and then like the noise is literally coming out of your throat.
Yes, I would do the before, like, and I'm like, and we're starting over.
Yeah, like I'm just like, okay, that was a weird noise that just surfaced.
Yeah, those are the ones for blue.
Yeah, I want to render like a 30-minute chapter with just like but do the output of clicks and just post that and be like, here you all go. This is what gets taken out of a 30-minute audiobook chapter.
It just sounds like aliens.
Prepare to be grossed out.
When PJ was talking last night about the insect book, I was thinking, all you have to do is just do the declicking, like isolate the clicks. There you go. That's your alien insect language, because that's what it sounds like.
I just want to clarify. She said insect. Yeah, insect was the word she just said.
Oh no. Okay, PA power. I just had to quit a meditation. I was using Insight Timer. I had to quit a meditation this morning because every time she started a new sentence, she went, and so, and I'm like, bye.
No.
The very first thing my coach said was, don't close your mouth at the end of a sentence.
Yes. Like, I don't care if you close your mouth. Never have I ever heard somebody sound like they were sucking on Laffy Taffy during a meditation.
Does that help?
I mean, but if she closes her mouth, it won't make that sound.
No, like when I close my mouth, I can close my mouth, but she's like sucking, like there was a.
Oh, it's like her tongue is almost like a fish.
Yes, it's the tongue, and that's what she's doing. Like, it's not just her opening her mouth, which I could have overlooked, but then I started to anticipate and take a deep breath, and I'm like, I am breathing!
We can't unhear it now.
It sounds so relaxing.
Then you can't meditate, because then you're immediately anticipating it. You're like, where is it? Oh, there
it is. That's all. I'm just waiting for that.
I hear it everywhere. Every video I watch, I'm so tuned to it now that I can't not hear it everywhere. And I wish that I could unknow this information, but I can't.
I had a class once where the instructor, like we were online.
Relaxed.
Yeah, I had a class once where we were online, so it was 2020, and so like we were online, and she had a pro mic. None of my other instructors had a pro mic, but she did. But she was older, and she apparently was just like really into tech things, and you could hear every single mouth noise she made. And if you've ever worked with older people or been around your grandma long enough, you know those. And oh my gosh, I could not listen to her lectures for very long, because it bothered me so much.
Okay, so y'all are gonna hate me, but Breathe by Sia. Somebody forgot to do a mouth D noise for that whole song. And I loved that song before I became a narrator. It's such a pretty song, and I like to listen to it when I am sad. And there is so much. I can't listen to it anymore. Like, good thing I can play it on the guitar, because I certainly cannot listen to it anymore. I was like, who did this? Who did this?
Who did this? Yeah. PJ has this when it only happened a few times, and I told him to watch it, but it was a few chapters towards the beginning of Savior, where everything I was like,
Uh-oh.
She's been freezing.
Oh.
You're freezing, Paige.
was this like, I mean, like, and I was like, ah. No. I'm freezing?
Oh my goodness. Pieces.
Oh, there you go. Oh, no, never mind.
Like all that came through was
I'm
when you
back?
did that. Nah. It was all
I'm not back.
The one noise that she probably didn't want to come through.
Man, I can't wait for her to see that playback.
What is happening? Oh my god.
Now it's doing like Vogue.
Yeah, you're like boom, 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 strike a pose.
Robot over there.
What is
Yeah.
happening?
She's rapping. That's a fact.
Oh no, not the. She's stuck on a blink. No.
No.
Oh, better a blink than something else.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm not sure how many authors are kind of hanging out, but I know PA Power has had quite a few questions on kind of how the type of investment that audiobooks are. And so I kind of wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on this, because of course I have my own, but what are like the narrator's thoughts on the investment of audiobooks?
I mean, I don't know. I don't even know where to start with that. Oh, we're just dropping like flies.
Well, I think she might try to come back.
Okay, I'll let her in. Ruthie, I think you should start because you've been doing it full time this year. So my perspective is going to be different from yours.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. I was just looking
I
at
thought you
the...
froze.
Sure if you were frozen or if you were processing.
No, I was just trying to understand. So when you say investment, like, do you mean investment like how I as a narrator look at the investment for the author?
Yeah, like how, like on your end, do you feel like authors' investments into audio, like what are your thoughts on them? I guess because the way that I see it on my end is I'm making my books more accessible to people who want to read my books. And even though I personally haven't seen like the return on the investment just yet, I know that the impact of having an audiobook available is really circumstantial to my career.
Mm-hmm.
So as an audiobook narrator,
okay,
what are your thoughts?
So I think so in one case, we're kind of having to, of course, as we often do, split the conversation between trad pub and indie pub. And I think we also have to kind of evaluate the audio market as a whole when we look at the type of growth that the industry is seeing, right? So accessibility, of course, is a key component. But what we're also seeing, and it's something that nobody can quite predict, we're seeing a vast growth in audio. I think between like 2019 and 2020, it increased like 100% in terms of the number of audiobooks that were produced. That was a number I got from Macmillan. I'd have to look at the paper they gave me specifically to tell you. So I think that is one hand of it, is like if you're an author and you're seeing this progressive growth year over year, double-digit growth in the industry and more people listening and things being you are poised with your audiobooks to be ready, like, right? Like, it's that, am I lucky or am I prepared meeting opportunities? So that's one hand, right? That's one part of it. For indie authors specifically, especially with the number of indie authors who are connecting with their narrators, right, over platforms like TikTok, when you see more narrators, so Nikki, you're not showing us your full face, but I don't count you as a faceless narrator. So when I say this, I'm not talking about you, because people see you and they're like, that's Nikki. And if they see somebody else, they'd be like, she's trying to be Nikki. That's what's happening right now, right? Like, So you see a lot of narrators who aren't necessarily being the faceless narrator. Like, not only do they have a name and a voice, but you see them. Like, if you see my name on a book, you're like, well, I know what she looks like. Like, I saw her TikTok yesterday. So for indie authors, it can also turn into a marketing investment, a secondary marketing investment, when you consider, what I've seen is, people who are like, oh, I've never heard of that author before, but what I just heard you narrate live right there, I want to go pick it up. So whether they're going and picking up more print books because they saw a clip that I shared, because they saw me live narrate or whatever, or if they pick up the print book or the ebook and they want to also listen to the audiobook, I've also seen that where people are like, I read it and then I also listened to it. So then the author was, potentially paid twice. So I think that there are a lot of different ways to look at it in terms of investment. We have the accessibility investment. We have being poised for whenever the industry really really takes off. And I think we're going to see a shakeup with the companies that are providing audiobooks too. But also from that indie perspective, when you're connecting with a narrator who's also independently doing their own marketing and your books are a part of their marketing, so it's a mutually beneficial thing, then it's like this secondary marketing investment. Like, that's not why you should sign a contract with anybody. But if it's going to happen, that's certainly a perk. So that's my TED Talk. Thank you. And I relinquish the microphone.
You phrase all that so well.
Gracias.
I mean, I don't even know what to add because like for me, it was always about like accessibility. I think was always like a primary goal of mine, like even before I wanted to make a career out of this. And so I think I got to be careful saying like, yes, everyone should have an audiobook because but I'm very biased because like I can provide that service. So I don't want to just be like, yes, everyone should have one. But I think Ruthie makes a lot of really good points about, a lot of people are wanting to have audio and it's something that they're really, really looking for. And if you are trying to do this full time, like you're trying to, make a business out of this, I think that it's a smart business decision when we look at kind of the trends of audio. But it is a very large investment, sometimes larger than the cost of creating the book itself initially, can cost more than editing and more than cover design. And it is very expensive because there is that editing cost and the equipment cost and everything that costs so much that like for us to even break even, it does cost quite a lot of money. So then I think that's then, even though it is a smart financial investment to do an audiobook because of like the industry in general right now, it takes a lot longer to like recoup that investment. But then there's other ways, like if you're not, because we were talking about ways that you could have dual narration and still kind of have at least be like partial royalty share. Or if you're, doing like single POV, then, you can do a sort of royalty share plus kind of thing where it's you can help save your investment a little bit or get creative like you did. And yeah, it took a lot of work for you to learn how to do that. I saved thousands not paying to have lessons on how to teach myself how to edit, and you can, if you're willing to learn how to do that stuff, there are ways to save money doing it. So then it doesn't take as long to recoup your investment.
Yeah. I guess I'll add, like, because of what you pointed out there is it's the intersection between the projected like growth of the market plus what the author is projecting for their own individual business. So I think that can kind of help with like the recoup and like, okay, like you've got a good network, like, people, like it can get out there and more people get interested, which it would be a lot harder to do if you were just starting out and didn't really have the connections that you do have. And then when we talk about accessibility, I saw a TikTok like last year. That was I thought a really good point, but it was talking about how it's not just accessibility, but like equitable accessibility. And so I think that that's the role that human narrators play, is that it's not just accessibility, i.e., our listening devices reading a book to us or whatever, but it's equitable accessibility in that it gives somebody who may not be able to read it the full intended experience. Mm-hmm. And so it's that equitable accessibility, I think, is probably a distinction we're going to have to make, because accessibility is definitely an argument that's being used on the side of AI. So
Yeah.
Well, if that was an actual argument, speech to text already exists. But the point is, like you said, you want the experience. And
Yeah.
AI is not giving that to you right now, Apple.
No.
The other thing about like the investment, and I think, yes, it is an investment, and it can be a pricey investment, especially if books are longer. It could also be no investment, just the investment in the time of the narrator. That said, it's an investment, and this entire industry is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You aren't going to recuperate unless you hit it big in the first year, in the first 2 years. I mean, that's why that royalty share contract is 7 years. Is it too long? Probably, for exclusivity, I mean. But at the same time, I as a narrator can go, okay, I have 7 years to make this back. So if I parcel that out, how many books would need to sell? And then you have to factor in Audible changing your price whenever you want, which is also a different problem. But if I say, hey, I'm only going to make half of what it's listed at, and I sell this many books over the course of 7 years, when do I make it back? And in the grand scheme of things, 7 years is not that long. I mean, it feels long, but it's not that long. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like Find a Way's Voices share, if you do the royalty share for them, it's 10 years. Now, that said, it's not just on Audible, though. They go wide with their royalties.
they go wide, which in turn gets a lower amount of royalties, because like they give you 80% of what they get, but what they get is like the 25% from ACX and whatever from all the other places. So I have to imagine that's partly why they do that, is because with ACX they're like, well, you get 40%. Right. But for Voices share,
whereas like Find a Way and other companies are like, well, we're taking half of what we're getting paid, and then like ACX doesn't have the middleman. Audible is ACX, so there's no additional company in the middle. But yes, it's an investment, and unless you randomly hit it big in the book talk lottery, you're not going to make it back quickly. And I think that's something to come to terms with, is like, do you save up for it? I'm talking with an author right now, and we're doing something that'll be fun, and it's going to cost me money in that it's going to take me time. But when she decides to release it, because we're going to do a chapter at a time, that's going to be exclusive to her mailing list. Then when she decides to release the audiobook, we're just going to go in on royalty share. But you know what? I did a chapter at a time, which will take me maybe a couple hours a day, once a week. So, it kind of evens out. And then she said that she's going to take that money and put it towards her narrator fund for her bigger trilogy. So it's, it's a small business and you need to budget accordingly. If you want to have an audiobook, a good audiobook, then you need to budget that in. Take the money that you're making on the book that you have and set aside something like, I want this in audio. And maybe you have to wait, but you know what? People can use speech to text or text to speech for now, if it really is like, I need to hear it right now. But if you're willing to wait, it can get there eventually. Or a narrator can be like, hey, I really love your book, and I would totally do it for royalty share. And that's on us. Like, we're adults. We can take that risk. We know.
Yeah. Like, I just contracted another royalty. We're doing it royalty
we'll take
share
the risk
plus.
on. So,
sorry. The weird delay. I'm sorry.
I also wanted to just take this opportunity to add that while this has been lovely, Nikki still hasn't read.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I didn't even think about it.
Good call.
I realized, I'm like, y'all, we're like rolling up on my fucking bedtime, and this woman has yet to read me to sleep.
I'm coming up too, because I've changed my schedule completely, and so I'm like going to bed at like 9 o'clock now. And
I get
same. Like we are living on the edge right now.
Literally, I have.
And I would like to point out though, Paige, that's clever marketing though. She's getting so much mileage out of that. If you guys are releasing a chapter at a time, that's clever marketing. That's a marketing point right there.
Well, and I thought about that too. Like, if you
just
could only
talking that I might do the live narration on her Discord. Like,
yeah, see.
Yeah, or you could.
And for any author that has a Facebook group, like you could do that. Oh, she froze. Okay.
Oh no. That's why I keep interrupting her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did I freeze again?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I failed as a host, but anyway, Nikki is going to narrate live for us. Nikki, tell us what you are reading today.
I was not ready for a specific part.
It's this book.
It's this book, though.
I was gonna say, if it's not that book, this is about to be awkward, and if I drop off, it's because of my signal and for no other reason.
No, I
Yes.
absolutely love
It
Nikki's
is.
narration. It would not bother me whatsoever.
Do you want me to do the same one we did for New Year's? Or do you have one specific you want to do?
Let's.
Please, God, don't tell me chapter 5 or I will cry.
Don't get us bananaed.
What's chapter? Oh, is it gonna get us bananaed?
The chapter 5 is literally the most awkward, spicy scene you will ever listen to in your life. I hadn't even listened to it done.
BRB.
I hadn't
Well,
listened
I
to it
don't
done.
know.
I was like, I had to listen to that chapter at work, and I was like, what chapter is that? And then I was like, wait, I have the finished files. I'll pull up chapter 5, put my headphones on, and I was listening to it, and I hadn't listened to his parts. And I was like, you listen to this at work?
I don't know if I can handle that. I don't know if I can handle that. Like, see, like people are like, oh, I do it while I'm doing the dishes. I can listen to Allie while I'm doing the dishes. Allie's single narration. I can listen to Paige, single narration. I can do it doing the dishes. Nikki, I can listen to you doing the dishes. But like, as soon as this starts to be this back and forth, like y'all are in the same room and I'm a fly on the wall, the dishes aren't getting done.
Like, I have no problem listening to audiobooks, except I have been listening to God of Wrath at the gym, and good God. And I was like, I've never sat there and I was like, when I was
Listening to
working
spicy
out,
books at the gym is rough.
while I'm working out, like I was like, but
so
anyways, chapter 5 is like the most scene you will ever listen to in your life.
Okay. It is supposed to be awkward. I don't want anyone to think like I wrote a crappy love scene. I didn't.
No.
Oh yeah, I took that as you meant to do it. Yeah, I took it as you meant to do it.
I promise it's supposed to be
I figured
bad.
Nikki was not talking shit.
No, no.
On a live, no big.
She's like, oh no, I am contracting her for the next $7. No.
Taking that
I
back.
don't know.
All right, so we're not gonna do the awkward scene. What are we doing?
Let's see.
You have one specific you want me to do?
I want you to do one. I want you to do one with Citri, because
she's laughing already. This is gonna be good.
Well, Citri is the next book she has coming out too. So
it is, and I'm just still laughing about it. I'm sorry. Let's see. I just love. You know which one I love. You know which interaction.
You love
that I really love,
but that's not Citri.
Which one?
You love the kitchen interaction, but that's not Citri.
God, I love the kitchen interaction. I think it's in Horns. Sorry, chapter 27. I spent so many hours like making up chapter titles for this book, and I very last minute put actual chapter numbers on them. So anytime someone's like, "Oh my God, chapter blah blah blah," and I'm like, I have no idea I don't know what you're talking about. Because I don't know the chapter.
Well, then I tell her it's the really awkward.
It's the really awkward.
Like, oh no, never mind. I know what you're talking about.
Somebody posted a video about like chapter 34 of A House of Witches, and Em and I both were like, I have I don't know.
I didn't know what it was either. I had no idea, but then somebody told me, and I was like, "Oh, gotcha. Yep, I know what you're talking about." So then I just remembered what it was.
There's a part. I mean, Nikki, do you like it? I guess it depends on how much. I really like around 264-ish.
Okay.
Where he comes back with dinner or with lunch.
Paige. Do I have to do a Citri voice? I've never had to do a Citri voice.
It would be fun if you did. But you don't have.
The pressure is on. Okay, hold on. Where do you want it on that page? God, I have to put my glasses on.
when Citri finally came back. It's on my 265.
Oh, okay. I was like, that is not on that page.
I've updated and ordered new paperback, so I'm not sure if she's gotten, like, her pages might be like 1 or 2 off.
Oh, great.
Because I've added stuff. I've had to update the front matter and back matter, so, like, sometimes it shifts a little.
Indeed.
Trying to find it.
Which is actually kind of cool. Sorry, go ahead, Nikki.
I was gonna say, is the line when he comes back? Like, give me the first line.
Notification that I need to take a break.
When Citri did finally come back, it was afternoon, and he came through the front door to my surprise.
Okay.
Because Citri's a demon, and he doesn't normally use doors.
Impressive.
Talented like that. Okay. Office. Y'all talk amongst yourselves, because now I feel pressure.
Sorry, I started talking, and then you had talked, and then I felt bad because we can't even see you now. So, like, I just, like, cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm pretty excited because there's a reference to, like, another book where a demon also doesn't use doors. And I find these very small things very funny. Very tiny references, either referencing back to the first book or references to weird stuff I studied in college, because I was in college for way too many years and only came out with, like, an associate's degree and almost 230 college credits.
I thought you were going to say $230,000 of debt. I was like, what?
No, $50,000 in debt.
That's not that good either.
No, it is not. But no, I took a human sexuality course. Well, let me get bananaed. A human psychology course, and one of our studies was from I can't say his name now. I thought I knew how to say it until I saw someone on TikTok say it a different way, so now I don't know how to say it. But he was the author of he was the author of Venus in Furs. If anyone knows of this book, I have it. I can go grab it. But it's the guy that sadism is named after.
Oh,
that's wrong. It's the guy that masochism is named after. Anyway.
Oh, that's different.
It's the opposite. Different. Yeah. They both wrote a book, though, which was amazing. Anyway.
I mean, if I had that named after me, I'd write a book, too.
Right? And so, anyway, a character in the third book in the series is a rock star, and he's a prince of the under. I don't know what you can say online. But he's a prince of sin, and he's posing as a rock star. And so his band's name is Lucy in Furs. And
okay.
I just find that hilarious. Anyway,
I love all those little Easter eggs and, like, those details that you put in that, like, somebody may not put together, but I don't know. I appreciate it.
I find it hilarious. No one else will care, but I find it really funny. And so, yeah, one of my other books references this kind of moment where it's like, I've never seen that man pop in through a door.
All right. That's your spot. Where do you want me to read to, Kay?
Wherever you feel comfy.
I hate reading live, so
I would never 750 words.
I get so nervous reading live. It makes
you did it for me
nervous.
for months, for weeks. You're all right.
I know, but it was like 5 days. And it was like 2 people in there. It was you and me, and like
it's different when you're recording. Because then you, like, stop and start and stop and start. When you're, like, live, you're like, I can't screw up it up. But it's okay. You're gonna fumble over a word. That's fine. You'll survive.
Oh,
it's okay.
Sure I will.
Because I stumbled over like 5. So here we go.
I'm trying to figure out a good place to stop so we're not reading forever, because I would read once I get over my nerves. Do you want to do the past, what he eats and don't eat? Okay, we'll get right past that.
I
Because
really
that
do.
part's fun.
Because
That
that's
part's
my
fine.
favorite part.
I know.
I shouldn't be this giddy.
Okay.
It's my book, but I absolutely love it.
Okay. I've never done Citri's voice, so we're gonna wing it.
Mhm.
All right. Make sure I can read it. My glasses are on. Beep beep. When Citri did finally come back, it was afternoon, and he came through the front door to my surprise. He dropped 2 large bags of takeout on the table. Miss me? Terribly, I said with a roll of my eyes. The smile that my comment had brought to his face was amused and warm. Hope you like Thai food. I did. I loved it, actually. I'd been sitting on the couch in a cotton robe while I watched TV. Of course, I have to cough. I hadn't bothered getting dressed. The designer closet didn't have anything comfortable to lounge in. He held up his hand when I sat up. You look perfect where you are. I'll bring lunch to you. I wasn't sure how to feel about this type of doting. The way that he spoke to me was a mix of seeing me as a possession or toy, and something he seemed to cherish. What even was that? A moment later, he came in holding a takeout container on a plate and a couple of bottles of water. He had taken off his jacket and rolled up his sleeves, and I noticed a thin scar on the side of his arm that I hadn't seen earlier. He sat down next to me and propped up his foot on the edge of his marble-topped coffee table that sat before us. The act was domestically smooth. Thanks, I said as I dug into my yellow chicken curry. I peeked over to his plate. A veggie pad thai. I didn't think demons would be vegetarians. I shoveled a chunk of piping hot potato into my mouth, and he smiled. I only eat what I kill. My eyes flew to his face, and he cracked a wide smile. He cracked a wide grin over his food. I swallowed hard, burning my throat. You what? He laughed and twisted his fork on his plate. I like to hunt. It reminds me of the days before city skyscrapers crowded the coasts, and the dull sound of car engines was a constant soundtrack to my life. He met my gaze. I don't eat humans, he clarified, and I melted back into the couch cushions and redirected my attention to my own plate. At least, not in that way. That comment sent me choking and coughing on a spoonful of jasmine rice. I sat up and pounded my palm over my chest to swallow the remaining grains before shooting him an exasperated look. All right, we'll stop there. Let's stop there.
Love it.
Brava, brava.
Your Citri voice wasn't that like off.
Wasn't that off?
Yeah, it wasn't that off. I mean,
for never doing a voice before, I'm coming up with it on the fly.
Yes.
I mean, it's great.
Great.
That sounded like a terrible caveat. I don't mean it like that. I'm saying that it is very great how you did that.
It was. No, like literally it was just like, this is what it's going to sound like.
Yeah, we winged it.
Yes. Well, sorry it took us so long to get there. For Ruthie to remind me, but that was lovely. Thank you for that.
I forgot too.
So. Well, I didn't even think about it. So.
Yeah, I didn't know either. I'm sorry. I would have prepped Nikki. I did not know.
Yep.
And that was Blood on My Name, right?
Wow.
Yes.
Available on paperback, ebook, and audiobook.
Yes.
Yes. And are your books is that book on KU?
It is on KU. All of my books are on KU. And hopefully someday they'll all be on audiobook, but we have to do this 7-book project first.
Hey, look, like I said, I mean, you guys are a really good partnership. So even the process of that is marketing and stuff. And people like to be along for the journey. So I think it's also allowed, you know, like you as the author and like Nikki as the narrator, like better connect with the people like in our audiences and kind of cross pollinate. Yeah, people are like fascinated by the process. So it's just TikTok has made it easier to share that.
Yeah. And it was fantastic working with Nikki. Bastion was very receptive, and I think he did his voices very well when he was comfy. And so I think the partnership that we've made is something very special. I say this kind of often. I find the people that I like, and I just kind of like hold on to them until they hate me. So.
I think
I'm glad to
make
know where
for
I'm supposed
better
to
art.
Yeah.
Yeah, you snatched at Marty last night in that lab. You were like,
I
stop
did,
right
and
now.
you know what? And I'm glad I did, because immediately I was like, I have 8 projects for you right this minute, and he was very much like, oh.
You're gonna take him from part-time to full-time now, just with your
Yes,
commissions alone.
that is exactly what he said. He said, well, it's a good thing I'm quitting my job. I said, yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I see people that I like and I enjoy and I meld with. I have, I have a hard time creating friendships that don't feel very shallow. And so when I meet people that I can actually talk to and have a connection with, that I don't feel that I have to force, then those people just become my people. And so I just, yeah.
And you're wearing a Star Wars shirt, so even if we weren't friends yet, we would be, because like
Star Wars.
Oh my gosh.
I stole this from my husband.
Because I have the one that I got from Galaxy's Edge, but it's not like twirlable. It's like too heavy. Changes color.
Look at that.
I had a really cheap one, and my husband was like, it turns off after 15 seconds. You need a better one. So he got me a nice one.
Oh my god.
Go together, they connect and make a big.
Nikki, is your husband a nerd?
To an extent, yes. Not like he doesn't do like D&D, but he does like he knows Star Wars and all that. I grew up with Star Wars, so.
Okay, but my husband's a video gamer, and that just sounds like something he would say. Like, your lightsaber is inadequate. We must procure you a better one.
Well, I don't like to buy things for 100%. Myself, and he is a big gift giver, so he's like,
oh, that's sweet.
He's actually playing like God of War Ragnarok right now in the house. But I'm trying to get him into doing audiobooks, because that man can do a ridiculous amount of voices. He would do amazing in a lit RPG book. And I was saying this the other night.
It seems to be
literally just pop out like a goblin voice, and then 2 seconds later a dragon voice. And I'm like
give the business all in the family.
I was just like, do you want to come in, sir?
Do you want to try? Give it a try.
But he has a very thick Southern accent. So he's like,
he should build his own business.
But we've talked about it before, there is a market for male narrator voices.
Just go find y'all some like cowboy romance books and you'll be set.
Yeah. Literally, looks like that and talks like him too, so it would work for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he got me these, and I was just like, you didn't have to do that. And I needed something for in here for like new headphones, and he's like, oh, I already bought them for you. I was like,
oh, he's just the sweetest.
Because he knows I won't do it for myself. But yeah. He got me Star Wars lightsabers for my booth. Now he was like, how do I mount these? We need to mount them.
I know.
Yes.
The bulk of my Christmas presents this year were like all like Star Wars themed things. Yeah. And I was like, perfect, beautiful, this is amazing.
I'm happy with it. Yeah. Star Wars, give me like Dragon Ball Z. I'm happy with it. Please.
Yep. I feel like in like the creative space, we're all kind of geeky somehow. Those are weird geeks.
And the thing is, he actually he's a book reader. Like, he loves books. I made it flash. And so he's read almost all the same books as me, and we listen to Audible books, and that's everything. So he's gotten to the point where he'll listen to an audiobook, and he's like, oh, this narrator he's gotten nitpickier about him. And I was like, babe, you can't do that. Every narrator
discerning taste now.
person. He was like, I just heard, and it would be mouth noises, or it would be something like that just pestered the crap out of him. And he's like,
See, that's my biggest fear is not like the general populace listening to my audiobooks. It's like other narrators listening to. I'm like, don't just skip it. It's fine.
yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I
Other
turn off
authors reading my books feels that way. Yeah.
I try
I'm
and
like,
turn that off though. Like if I'm listening, I'm like, you know what? There's gonna be a mouth noise, and they're gonna hear a mouth noise in mine, and you know what? That's okay.
Oh,
It's
thanks,
okay.
Jen.
So
it does
As
happen.
long as I can't anticipate it, I should be fine.
right. I don't hear it. I mean, as long as I'm not hearing like in between like pauses, then because then I'm like, that's just like you taste room noise over that. That's lazy editing. But like in the middle of a word, like sometimes those are just microscopic, and because it's in my ear, I hear it more than if I was playing it on my phone. So like,
I think it's more my self edits from like my first 3 books that I just like. I love them, but I also would like to either just completely redo them or just I don't know.
Yes, 100%. I find the little things. I can't listen to the ones I've already done. And people are like, they're so good. And I was like, no, they're not. Don't tell me that. If you believe that is good, then
You know what though?
I'm going to give you something better.
One thing that really like hanging out with Nikki as we did this, and then obviously like editing the audiobook and stuff, like it was definitely a learning experience for me as a writer because there'd be times where there was like one word in a paragraph that was used like just like one too many times. And even though through my editing process to publish the book first, my editor is very because I tell her, like I don't want to use the same word too many times in a chapter or in this block because whatever word it is, I want to make sure that I'm describing it in different ways, whether it be like a love scene or just talking about a certain object that's really important to the scene. But it really bothers me when other authors or in other books that I've read where a word is used constantly. And so my narrator was very conscious of that. And so even though it went through like my edits, my professional editors' edits, proofreaders' edits, people that I trust very dearly, and I do not blame them. Obviously, I'm the one who wrote it. We even went through. We would go. Nikki would be reading, and then I'd have Bastion's audio, and so I'm putting them together. There were definitely a few times where I was like, I wish I could rewrite this one paragraph.
Ants was one of them. I remember you specifically. I was reading and you were like, you wrote in the comments, you're like, I said hands way too many times in this section.
Oh my God. It was. And I was like, I can't believe how many times. I couldn't believe that paragraph made it through that many edits because I was just like, how many times this could be a drinking game. Like how many times am I going to say the word hands in this freaking page? It was
Well, it's a little different when you're saying it out loud. And so like I released a short story yesterday that I wrote first, edited a bunch of times, right? Like let it sit aside or whatever. And then when I went to narrate it, I went in there, I had it up on my little thing, but I had the clicker because I was like, there's going to be something right where I need to like click it, and arguably it was just my eyes that saw it, no one else, but I would read it out loud, and once I was performing it I was like, oh, actually let me click that, and then I would narrate it the way that I decided that it was going to be. And then once I got back to my desktop, because my booth is in the basement, then I made the changes to the doc. So like I actually went back and made changes based on how I narrated it. But it hits different. And then also your brain is so like, you guys have all seen that meme that's like the first letter and the last letter and the word are the same and then they're all jumbled up, but you can still read it. Like, I think for readers, we kind of do that with whole sentences. Like if all the right words are there in a sentence, like our brain is just going to read it and it's just going to make it work, and then you're not reading it out loud. So like you use the word hands 10 times. So there are a lot of hands and they're moving all over the place, so it made sense at the time.
I obviously don't narrate, but I actually cannot read my work out loud while I'm editing. I just will not, like, it doesn't work with my brain like that, but I will have like my iPad in Google Docs read it to me. And so I do catch a lot of stuff that way. It's easier for me to do that. But also there are definitely times where in the editing process with my narrator, I will make changes after she has already made changes, and then like things just slipped up. There were just things that did just like made it through and we just rolled with it. But there definitely there were a couple mistakes that Nikki found as she was narrating that I had to go back and change in the actual manuscript.
Only
So
like 2.
yeah, but they were there.
I found a book that hasn't had a mistake in it yet.
Yeah.
No.
One of them is
We hear him in Trad Pub, big narrator stuff too. I just listened to something that Julia Whalen narrated, and she mispronounced something. And I was like, how did they not catch that?
Yeah.
And it was before AI, so it wasn't AI.
Yeah. I listened to it was like last year or something. I listened to it was that Jennifer L. Armentrout book. It was part of that series. I listened to it and I was like, what? And I paused it and went back and I listened to it again. And I was like, that did it again. They said the wrong name very clearly.
Yes.
I don't even have the book in front of me. And I was like,
yeah. And I was like, that's
no
not the right name.
Said that to somebody else, but it says that his name, like it's the wrong name very clearly.
Yeah.
And it's in the audiobook. And I was like, okay.
I wasn't listening to that one, but I was listening to an audiobook recently that did that too. And I think it's harder when there's a lot of names and they're kind of similar, or there's a lot of characters within a scene. Like I can imagine that being like a fumble because I do
gave
know
me Zephyr and Vepper. I mean,
I did, but you did so well. We did not miss one of those, not
Zephyr
one.
And Vepper, and I was like, good God.
We didn't.
They're
so twins.
Scared.
There's twins, and there's a joke. I promise there's a joke.
And I mean, to be honest, we don't even need an excuse to say the wrong thing. I'm doing pickups for Return to Hoodoo right now, and I'm like, why did I just change those pronouns? It was supposed to say his, and now suddenly she's touching herself with her own hands. Okay.
Yes.
What?
How did I do that? Like, I think Kelsey Navarro posted something about how she said somebody's elbow was in like the coffee or something. It was something complete bananas. But when she read the pickup, she's like, I didn't say that. No, I didn't. And then she played it and she's like, all right, guess I did. Whatever. Like, we don't need a reason. There could be 2 people in the book and I'll still get the name wrong.
But we did not. There, Bastion did get one.
You said Starbowl instead of Barstool.
What?
I said PJ said Starbowl instead of Barstool.
Starbowl.
In one of the
Starbowl instead of Barstool.
He said Starbowl instead of Barstool. And I was making fun of him, but then I just did it. And maybe she'll say it was supposed to be feet thick, and I said feet thick or something like that instead where I just flipped the 2 because you're reading ahead.
Yeah.
It's the tongue twisting, like the alliteration ones that get me real bad. You gave me one. It was something with like
it was a lot of L's.
Binded. It was something about a blood and a black and a book, and I was like, what is this?
Yes.
And we had to go through it like 5 times for my mouth to make those letters.
I felt so bad, and Bastion actually complained about that to me too. He was like, these are tongue twisters. And I'm like, I did not, because at the time I was not thinking that I was going to do this as an audiobook, and I write a lot of those. I do that a lot. Like even as Nikki was reading, the piping hot potato.
Piping hot potato. Hey, I did it.
Yes, you did so well.
She said sheepishly. God.
I
had one that was she smiled sheepishly or something, and within the context of the sentence there were more S's and SH's in the whole sentence, and I was recording that over and over and over. I almost skipped it. Like, can we just take this line out?
I had a main character. His name was August, so it was August Smile.
Yeah.
I was like August.
Yeah. Cassius's.
Yeah.
Like every possessive. Cassius asked.
Cassia's
The
gasping.
male love interest in the book now is she.
What?
Oh, she's frozen again.
We have to catch a break.
We
It's
can't.
just
And of course, the male love interest is named, and then it tripped. Okay, what is his name? Paige?
Ashish.
Fuck.
Ashish.
Prestige?
Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
There we go.
Sorry, you said that. I'm like, Prestige Worldwide.
oh, and she put it in the comments.
She's like, I'm sick of this. It's this.
Okay.
Sheesh. Okay.
Oh, that's
But
a lot
like,
of-
did anybody else like that's from Step Brothers, right? Prestige Worldwide.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure that was the name of their company.
Oh my gosh.
it all starts to fall apart at this
Yes.
time of night.
Yeah. I've definitely become more conscious of that though, because
And on
I felt really bad. I didn't have to feel so bad with Bastion having so many, because I didn't like listen in as he recorded, but I felt real
She
bad.
saw my tragic pain.
I was like, ooh. So I try not to do them as often, but I still do them because I like them, and
You'll
I
get turned
know
on.
like that's part of like my writer voice. So I try to make it like, knowing that I'm going to do these new 7 books in audio form. I'm definitely writing things a little different so that it's easier for Nikki and Bastion, or definitely Nikki, to narrate, so that we can like, because in Blood on My Name there's a lot of starting off a sentence that she's talking, and then he says, she said this, doing this, and then she finishes the sentence, and there were a lot of those, and vice versa. And so I tried really hard to keep that in mind, because those were really difficult to edit on my end. But there were definitely times where they were harder to piece together because of the way just the voices sounded together in that kind of dialogue. And so like the dialogue tag between the 2 bits of dialogue just felt a little off. So now I keep that in mind, because it was just part of the experience of turning a book into an audiobook.
I definitely feel like I can go to authors now and be like, fewer dialogue tags are fine. We can do with fewer dialogue tags.
I hate dialogue tags.
Yeah.
In my books, I very
think they
rarely
have.
said she said. The word said is very not often used in my books, just because I hate reading the word said in all the dialogue. Like, that's just a personal thing that has nothing to do with like other people. I'm sure how I do it drives other people nuts. It drove my mother-in-law nuts for my first book. But yeah, I know, I just hate the word said, and I try really hard not to use it, which means there's other action tags and stuff like that instead.
Right. I love action tags so much. And I saw an editor video that was like, this is an action tag and this is a dialogue tag. They're not the same. And I'm like, guess what? They're the same in Ruthie Town. I am using them. So she's gonna cough and she's gonna laugh and she's gonna shudder, and we're not gonna say it.
Yes. We're not gonna say
like
that.
That affects how I say it. If she yawns, she yawns something, then I'm like, I'm so tired. Versus she yawned, I'm so tired.
And
like,
that's how I want
Perry
people to read it.
Schnaubout, I don't know how to say her name, but she was talking about that, and I had just seen that editor video that said, like, big trad publishing now is like, we only want said, and maybe an occasional reply or answered, but they're like, no action tags. And I'm like, but that doesn't make any sense. Like, if I cough out something, that is different than I cough and then say something. That comma versus, I mean, it is a dialogue tag. It's not an action. It is telling me how this dialogue is read. But yeah.
Yep, it's a dialogue tag today.
But like for us, it's more like stage directions. I mean, except well, obviously not stage directions, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I like, I think I always have loved audiobooks in general. But I feel like they change the way that a piece is absorbed in my, like, I could read a book and then listen to the audiobook and it's two different experiences. And so I always like to write my dialogue as if you're having a real conversation with someone, and you're directing their movements. He's talking and then he's crossing his arms because he's mad. Like, obviously whatever he's saying is influencing his body language. And so, like, body language in writing is just something that my brain likes better than he said.
Well, it gives the reader and listener more of a visual of what's going on, and hearing it, they're like, okay, she sighed, and when she said it, it's like, I want to hear the sigh when she said it. And it's like, oh, she sighed through that?
Yeah.
Like, you do it when you do it. It's like, I can't believe he said that. Like, you have to sigh.
Yes. Love that.
And I wonder if that's like the books that we grew up on as well, because I'm just seeing this now with publishing, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure that when I was reading like the Babysitters Club or things, even as I got older, like the Black Jewels trilogy and Kushiel's Dart, is she did use action tags. They did use action tags. They didn't use said. They used the body language to define the words, the dialogue. Yeah. And so now that now just said, I'm just like,
yeah. Little things even change. I don't know, maybe this is silly, but I feel like even if the line says that, like, oh, like they narrowed their eyes, or they, I feel like then even if you're actually kind of like doing that action along with the dialogue, it does make it sound different when you're doing it. And I can't really explain it because my eyes are not connected here, but it's, I don't know, it changes it.
It does.
Well, that makes sense because the way that we say certain things go with facial expressions. So if you are hissy whenever you narrow your eyes or whatever, like, it's going to convey, like, if that matches some of the angry things that you will do, like, when have we not, like, I'm pretty sure we saw Paige, slit her eyes whenever PJ burst into the booth, right? Like, that matches versus trying to mismatch body language and the words and the tone and stuff that you're actually using. So we tend to line those things up and then project them as narrators, and that makes sense. That's why I move around so much.
Yeah. Like,
and you have the luxury of that with your dynamic microphone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just saying, like, you can, like, it is saying the word, like, I'm saying she sniffed at him or snapped at him. Like, you can already tell that emotion just by that one word. You can tell how that character is feeling by the word snapped. And you don't have to go into a whole emotional feel, like saying, oh, she was so angry and this. The word snap does that right there. The dialogue needs to convey that.
Or like, and then it would be completely different than she deadpanned.
Yeah.
Like, you could snap or you could deadpan and both be angry, but the delivery of those is going to be completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah. There have been times where my editor has
said deadpan.
Yeah. There have definitely been times where my editor has been like, hey, you need to pull it back on these, like, like, she'll throw in a said and, like, move a dialogue tag down, or move an action down and be like, okay, you've done this a lot, but let's throw one set in here just for some just a little bit.
We're gonna live on the edge, Kay, and we're gonna put in a said.
We're gonna make it boring. No,
we haven't done it.
I don't think I would notice if I read a whole book that did not use the word said. I don't think I would notice. They could exclaim and huff and snap and sob, and I don't think I would notice.
I don't think my first book has the word said in it. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure, because it was my first book and I didn't have this editor. She's been editing since my second book, and my first editor just kind of let me do whatever it was I was going to do. And I don't think, I was just so against it. I was just so against the word said. And when my new editor, who used to work in Trad Pub and has a lot of extra credentials and awards and things like that, came along, and she was like, I appreciate what you're trying to do here. I do. But just for some contrast, just every once in a while, can we just? And I was like, I trust you. It's fine. Just like
Now,
one or two is okay.
out here, I'm gonna pull up the book on Kindle and be like, said how many times?
And like
How many
highlight
times?
You could probably.
and upload
I
it to
was just.
Goodreads.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Your Goodreads quotes.
I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look on Vellum. Oh no, I can't look on Vellum. It won't pop up on Vellum. It'll only
Okay.
do.
Well, we
I have to get
are
to bed.
getting to 10:30, and I know that we
Yes.
are past like everybody's bedtime. I'm wide awake because I'm on my late night recording schedule. But this has been so much fun. I could literally talk to you guys all night. Thank you for sharing the snippet of Blood on My Name. Thank you for telling us all about this audiobook creation process you guys had. Do you want to do one last like plug of? I mean, we kind of know all the things you guys have coming up, but just like one last quick plug of what you have going on.
You go
Nikki
first.
has stuff sooner than I do.
To go. No, you have a
You
lot of
go.
good books there. Share it.
So this book came out in June. The audiobook came out at the very end of November. This is Blood on My Name. It is a standalone MF. It's just these two really. He's there for a reason, but he's really only two. It is a dark paranormal morally gray romance, and there is a 7-book series coming in the spring. It's the Seven Deadly Sins series, and each one will be an interconnected standalone.
I like the interconnected standalones.
Yes, it's gonna be fun.
All right, Nikki, you're up or down, I guess. That wasn't funny.
Well, that one's available on Audible now. Me and Bastion Allen, duet narration.
Just so perfect.
My next one to come out should be in the next few weeks. It's going through the final processes. It's Maiden in the Unseen, solo narration. And Sinners and Saints, Molly Doyle and Lana Skye. I duetted that with Corbin King. Should be out any day now on Audible. That's it. And then I got more. Worried about that yet. I think that's it. I don't know how to plug myself, so well.
Get used to it.
I heard I
And
have.
Everybody a follow.
Follow.
Follow. And then we'll be back next week with Ruthie will be hosting next week, I believe, with narrator Ori Nash, AureNash, and we will have J.S. Mercier, who wrote I think it's called The Secrets Duet. The Rooms We Hide, I think is the name of the first one. It's a dark romance. Very dark. Check your triggers. But we'll have Ori and J.S. Mercier on here next week with Ruthie.
Yeah, The Rooms We Hide.
We'll post more about it. Rooms We Hide. Thank you.
Hey,
well, thanks for having us.
We will.
I know. Thanks for coming. And then be sure to follow on our other socials because then we'll have a replay of tonight's video. So.
Oh God.
Oh, fun. Me just acting like a crazy person.
Bye.
Messing this up. And goodbye.